this video, we will be using completing the square to help us find the turning point of a function. So we have our function f of x is equal to x squared plus 14x plus 39. And so we can equate our equation to y instead of f of x. So we can replace that as y is equal to x squared plus 14x plus 39. And now we can write our generic formula for our quadratic equations. So we have ax squared plus bx plus c. And so our coefficient of x squared here is 1. So that means we don't have to factorize out any numbers. So what we can do is we can take our value of b. So b is our coefficient of x. And so b here is equal to 14. And so now we write down our completing the square formula, which is x plus b over 2 the whole squared minus b over 2 the whole squared. And so we can substitute our value of b into our formula and then add it to our equation. So we get y is equal to x plus 14 over 2 the whole squared minus 14 over 2 the whole squared plus 39. And so now we can simplify our fractions. So we get y is equal to x plus 7 the whole squared minus 7 squared plus 39. And so if we bring it all together, we get y is equal to x plus 7 the whole squared minus 49 plus 39. So this is equal to x plus 7 the whole squared minus 10. And so now we have it in our completed the square format. So what we want to do is within our brackets, we want to equate our square value here to 0. And so x plus 7 the whole squared is equal to 0. And so by equating it to 0, we can try to find the value of x. So we start off with x plus 7 the whole squared is equal to 0. Now we square root both sides. So we get x plus 7 is equal to 0. And we get x is equal to minus 7. So this helps us to find our x coordinate for the turning point. So we have our x coordinate as minus 7. And our y coordinate is just, so now that we've equated x to 0, our y coordinate is whatever's left behind. So now we have 0 minus 10 is equal to y. Y is equal to minus 10. And this is our y coordinate. So if we see the graph on the right, we can see that the turning point we have got is minus 7, comma, minus 10. And the reason we can draw the graph in this way is we have a coefficient of x squared that is positive. So that means that the graph goes down and then turns up. So this turning point is a minimum point. So now we have our next equation. Y is equal to minus 3x squared minus 6x plus 2. And so we're going to start completing the square root. So first, we're going to write our generic formula of quadratic equations. Ax squared plus bx plus c. And we find our coefficient of x squared as minus 3. So what we can do now is we can factorize minus 3 out of the first two terms in our equation. So we get y is equal to minus 3, and then square brackets, we can have x squared plus 2x, close our square brackets, we have plus 2. Now we can do our completing the square equation with our coefficient of x, which is 2. So we have b is equal to 2. And so we have our completing the square formula, which is x plus b over 2 the whole squared minus b over 2 the whole squared. Now we can substitute our value of b into our equation, and we get y is equal to minus 3, the square brackets, we have x plus 2 over 2 the whole squared minus 2 over 2 the whole squared. We close our square brackets and plus 2. And now what we can do is we can simplify our fractions. So we get y is equal to minus 3. In the square brackets we have x plus 1 the whole squared minus 1 squared. Close our brackets and we do plus 2. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply minus 3 into our square brackets. And so for that we get y is equal to minus 3 x plus 1 the whole squared plus 3 plus 2. And so if we simplify it further, we get y is equal to minus 3 times x plus 1 the whole squared plus 5. And so we have our equation here, and we've completed the square on it. So what we can do is we can isolate our section with the brackets. So we get minus 3 times x plus 1 the whole squared, and then we equate it to 0. So we have that equal to 0. And so we can now write minus 3 times x plus 1 the whole squared is equal to 0, and we can start to rearrange to get to x. So we get x plus 1 the whole squared is equal to 0. I square root both sides, we get x is equal to minus 1. And so we now have our x coordinate of the turning point. Now if this section here is equal to 0, we can plug it into our complete the square form to get y. So y is equal to 0 plus 5. So y is equal to 5. And this gives us the coordinates for our turning point for the graph on our right, which is minus 1, 5. And so when you're sketching out this graph in the exam, or if you're doing this by yourself, the reason why it goes from the bottom up and then down is because the coefficient of x squared is negative. So this inverts the graph across the x-axis, and this makes the turning point a maximum point. As always, thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any new content.